Hello everybody, welcome back to our channel, Smishek's Custom Baits. Rick Smishek here. Today we're not going to make anything, we're just going to talk, we're just going to chat. Recently on the comments for one of the videos, somebody going by the name J Hooked Fishing asked if I had any advice on how to prevent dents and bubbles in your baits. So let's talk about that. It's an issue for everybody. If you make soft plastic baits, dents and air bubbles in your baits are a real thing. Okay, it's just something we have to deal with. I made myself a little outline here. First of all, when it comes to bubbles, there's the air bubbles that happen because we're mixing the plastic, or because of humidity that gets some water, some moisture in the plastisol, and that you can take out one of two ways. You can either use a vacuum chamber, I have one, or you can just heat the plastisol. If it's not too bad, I'll just heat the plastisol in the measuring cup to around 370 or so, and then just let it sit in the microwave and keep it hot. Every so often, I put for 15 seconds or 20 seconds, whatever, until all the air bubbles have risen to the top and popped. That's one way to do it. The other way is to use a vacuum chamber and just suck them all out. But the other way you can get air bubbles is when you take your measuring cup, okay, and as you've got it down here, you've got your injector down here in the bottom, and it's all the way to the bottom, and you pull it up and you run out of plastic. You hear that slurping sound. It sounds like when you get to the bottom of your drink with the straw. It sounds like that. If you hear that noise, you've sucked air up into the injector, all right? And if you just tip your injector like this, you'll see what I do is I leave it set over the measuring cup like this, okay? And because there'll be a little bit of plastic that comes out, and you'll see the air bubbles coming up, okay? And once it's done, push your plunger up until you get a little bit of plastic coming out, and you're good to go. There's no more air in your injector. If you have that air in your injector, you will inject large air bubbles into your baits. So that's how to deal with the air bubbles. That's the different kinds of air bubbles you can have. But dents, let's talk about those. Those are a little more difficult, okay? Or they can be. If you have a core shot mold, the rods inside whatever, or if you're making core shots and you're using nails to make the core shots, you can do that on any mold, and maybe one day we'll make a video on that. But whatever you're using for the rods to make the baits hollow, warm those up, okay? Warm those, preheat those, and preheat the mold, and that'll help reduce your dents. Put salt in your baits. That'll help reduce the dents there, okay? Now the dents we're talking about in like a core shot mold, and they happen in other molds too, is that's the kind of dent where, how do I explain this? Where the bait collapses in on itself because it's trying to draw hot plastic from the runner and it can't. Okay, so the bait collapses in on itself. It makes kind of a nasty looking dent. The other kind of a dent that you have is when not all the air can escape from the cavity, so you end up with like a divot like this, like an indention, a depression in the bait. Okay, the only real way to alleviate those is to modify your mold. All right, this mold I have here where I can shoot the claw tips and then the claws and then put the claws over into the mold. Well, when you do that, you've blocked off almost all of the venting for the bottom half of the body, or towards the head of the body of the crawdad, towards this end of it. So what I did, and I have a video where I did this, I modified the mold. I cut new vent lines in with a razor blade, and I used a metal ruler for a straight line. Okay, I used a brand new razor blade and cut the lines in, and that has almost completely alleviated that type of dent in this mold. Okay, but the other dents, they're a little more difficult. It can be. One way to help with that is, like I mentioned before, put salt in your baits, because those kind of dents can happen in any mold. Okay, salt in your baits helps because because there's less plastisol in the cavity. Some of that cavity is filled up by the salt you put in. Put in the plastisol. Okay, so there's not as much plastisol cooling and trying to draw off that hot sprue. Another thing you can do is you can open up the gates a little bit. All right. And you don't want to open up very much. And understand any modification you do to the mold is likely going to void any warranty by the manufacturer. So make sure you research what you're doing, how you're doing it, before you ruin a mold. But as far as opening the gates, you just need a small file, which I'm not sure where I put mine at the time, right offhand. Funny how that works, huh? This big mess I have. But you just take your file and you just gently run it this way, and you want to run it towards the sprue and not towards the cavity, so that if you slip, you don't scar the cavity. Okay, you don't want to mess up the cavity that way. Okay, but you just do just a little tiny bit at a time. Do it to both sides. Shoot the mold. See if it helps. I had some molds from a company that were notorious for denting, especially they were stick bait molds. Not the ones I have now, but because I traded those away. But they were notorious for denting, especially the 6-inch model. I had the 4, 5, and 6-inch, and the 6-inch was really bad. Well, I didn't really feel like I was comfortable with modifying those molds. But the guy I traded those molds away to, that's exactly what he did, and they shoot perfect for him. Okay, so that's one thing you can do to help really alleviate those type of dents. Holding pressure. Hold pressure for a little longer. Okay, what's happening is when you're getting those type of dents where the bait's collapsing in on stuff, it's the gate that's freezing off too early. Okay, and it's not able to draw that hot plastisol. All right. Let me check. Let me get something. These baits here, okay. This is a Charlie Special with a pearl tail. I've tried to shoot these and this is the 5-inch version. I've tried to shoot these in a core shot mold, but what happens is that this part always dents really badly because there's not enough. The core, which ends up being the white pearl also, the core cools off and solidifies too quickly before this gets a chance to finish cooling and drawing that plastisol. So what I do with these, how I make these, is I just cut the tails off. I shoot the whole mold with the white pearl, cut the tails off, and then shoot the mold with the Charlie Special. Okay. But if you're still getting those dents, have you tried everything? That's what I know, how to fix them, okay? One other thing that can help. This can help with both the air bubbles and the dents, okay? Almost forgot about this. And that's a Sprue Extender, okay? All right, just put this down in your mold. Okay, a couple of these molds, they don't want to fit in there real nice and easy. But what this does, it provides more hot plastisol for the cavities to draw on. My trickworm molds and my stick bait molds both, if I don't use these Sprue Extenders, or if I don't remember to top off the runner with hot plastisol after I shoot, then a lot of times they'll dent. Or in the case of the trickworm molds, that top cavity will suck air in, and then I have this long, because there's no plastisol left to draw on, so it pulls air into the cavity instead of plastisol. But this alleviates that problem completely by giving it more hot plastisol, making that runner a little longer. But this is something else you can try, and I have a video on how to make these. One thing that was brought up by somebody else was that it looked like they were sticking in. They didn't want to stay put. They were hard to move. Well, that's true. What I did was I took my Dremel tool and I sanded the edges on the outside edges, on the inside, on both ends, and now they sit On most molds, they sit in there pretty easily. Now you can, and same thing with the, where did I put it? I'm not sure. Oh, here it is, right here. Same thing with the blending block. The blending block goes in and out super easy now. And I did this with all. I did the sanding with all of these, so that was a huge help there. I don't think there's. I think that's. I don't think I missed anything. I kept going over in my head what I was going to say, and I kept forgetting certain things. I mean, oh no, I forgot to put this in there this time. So that's why I made my list. I made my little outline today, so I didn't forget. But hopefully this video helps you guys. And J Hook Fishing hopes this helps you. Hopes this answers some of your questions. If you have any other ideas on how to help prevent denting in the molds, put it in the comments. If I've missed something, definitely put it down there in the comments. You know, I don't know everything. I know some, but you know, nobody knows everything. So, but go ahead and put that down there in the comments. Sorry for the mess here. I'm in another big project. I didn't want to put it all away just for the short video, because I just have to put it right back out again. We'll be doing more jig painting soon. I painted these. These are the these are ones that I had to coat twice. Some of them came out not too shabby, and other ones are like, wow, what the heck? And none of them did I sand the tops, and because I was just like, well, this is, or file the tops to make them nice and smooth. Like, well, these are just practice, right? And after I painted them, I'm like, why are they all so messed up? Oh yeah, that's right. So as I figure this out, I'll be giving you guys tips and tricks, telling you the things that I've learned. I have chatterbait blades now, so I'll be making some chatterbaits. So yeah, we have a lot to look forward to here on the channel still. So keep watching. I appreciate every moment that you watch, every subscription, every viewer, and if you guys liked what you saw, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, hit the little bell so you get notifications. And until next time, tight lines and calm waters. God bless.